So welcome everyone to Psalms for Life, in which we take a different chapter from Sefer Tehillim and explore it weekly or sometimes over the course of 2 weeks. And we want to thank Esther Alagorovich for sponsoring this series. It's a big undertaking. May Hashem bless her and her family in the merit of really committing to this really beautiful project with good health and long life. Everybody who attends, everybody who's learning Tehillim and saying Tehillim be blessed with good health and long life. And if you would like to have to add a name for Refuah Shlema, please open your Zoom chat and type in the name. I'm not going to read all the names out because they keep on coming, but we'll keep them in mind that all the names in this chat, also specifically what we learned today, will be dedicated to them for a Refuah Shlema. Okay, Psalm 29 is a powerhouse. It's an atomic bomb in the best possible sense. A lot of energy in a small package. And it has been, I want to really begin by saying it has been co-opted. Unfortunately, one of the beautiful Tehillim that David HaMelech wrote for the Jewish people, and yes, non-Jews certainly may say Psalms. Unfortunately, it's been co-opted and distorted by them. And today we're going to focus on the authentic meaning of Psalm 29 as much as we can possibly cover. So we will begin by saying that it is a SEGULA to nurture within yourself, cultivate within yourself, and express the greatness and awesomeness of Hashem. And anyone who knows any of the melodies, whether it's Sephardic, Hasidic, traditional, yeshivish melodies, Litvish melodies, any of the Karlbach, famous Karlbach melody, all these nigunim, most of them contain an almost irresistible hook in the melody. It's something very special about this song. Okay, the SEGULA is also for calming down strong winds and calming down tornadoes, storms at sea, etc. As I mentioned, it's also to cultivate and express the greatness of Hashem. It's also a SEGULA to keep away negative energy. Okay, ayin hara, evil spirits, whatever, all that negative energy. This psalm resounds with positive energy and Hashem's might and strength. There are 7 kolot, voices or verses that begin with or connected to the voice of Hashem and his name, Yud-Kei Vav-Kei. And these are said to humble all the negative energies, to get rid of all the negative energies. Very cleansing psalm. It's a very powerful psalm, as I said. So these 7 voices, and we're going to speak about this psalm on a few levels. These 7 voices are the ways in which Hashem expresses himself and reveals himself on earth. And that's one of the reasons why on Friday night, as everyone knows, we usher in Shabbat by singing 6 psalms. And this is the last psalm we sing because it hints to the power and might of Hashem and the menuchas hanefesh, the relaxation for the soul, the peace and comfort of Shabbat. Okay. Also, we sing this psalm on Shabbos when we are putting the Torah in the ark on Shabbos day before the Mussaf prayer. Why? Why do we do this? So Chazal say it's a hint to this idea that the Shabbat, Mussaf, Amidah, which contains 7 brachot, unlike the weekday, which contains 18 plus 1 brachot. This, the Talmud tells us, is really based on the 7 voices of Hashem in this psalm. So the Shabbat, a couple of days away, we can think about this when we say the Mussaf Shmona Esrei, the Mussaf Amidah. Okay. Excuse me, still, my voice still isn't 100%. Okay. Now, we are going to discuss the instances of the 7 voices of Hashem, but we are also going to discuss another aspect of this psalm, and that is the 18 brachot of the weekday Amidah, which corresponds to the 18 times Hashem's name is mentioned in this psalm. Okay, Chazal, again, they tell us that there is a distinct, excuse me, if you would mind muting yourself, that would be greatly appreciated. They tell us that there is, okay, so we're having, I think we're being, I'm going to get rid of this person here because something isn't right. Okay. Let's see if I can report this. Okay, excuse me. Clearly we've been Zoom bombed, which I'm always afraid of happening. Sorry about that. And we are going to report that person, and hopefully they will not join us again. Okay. So, where was I? So the 18 times Hashem's name is mentioned in this psalm. And the first 3 blessings of Shmona Esrei actually come from this psalm. Okay, and we'll talk about that as well. Now, how did we get the Shmona Esrei, the Amidah prayer? How did we get the Siddur? How did we get all of these codified? So people used to daven with meditation on their own, and they instinctively knew which prayers to say and how to say them, many in their own words, and some from our scriptures. However, when we entered the early Second Temple period, what happened was the Anshe Knesset Hagadola, okay, the 120 sages and prophets and men of the Great Assembly, they saw that people weren't able to attain the level of Ruach HaKodesh on their own in order to pray. So they codified the Shmona Esrei, the Amidah prayer, as well as the biblical canon, and so on. And the reason was to help us maintain our focus and to be able to say what was necessary to say in tefillah. Now, it's interesting that when we say the prayers, we tend to, after a while, say them somewhat by rote. It's very difficult to concentrate on this. Rebbe Nachman assures us that after a while, when we don't say the prayers, when we wake up in the middle of davening and remember we're davening, he says, don't worry. He says this happens to everyone, but every time you are able to daven any section of the davening, we're speaking specifically here about Shmona Esrei, okay, the Amidah prayer. Anytime you are able to pray any specific section of that with kavanah, with focus and intent, that will lift up all the other times that you prayed that section without focus and intent. So if this is an issue for you, what you can do is you can pray each time, try to keep at least one part of the prayer very intently focused. All right. Now, this psalm, okay, it's not a substitute for the Mussaf Amidah or the weekday Amidah. However, what it is almost a reminder or inspiration that you can take personally for it. So if you haven't davened yet, or you have davened and you feel that you need some refreshment, you need some rectification, say Psalm 29. It's easy, it's quick, it's powerful. Okay, now we are going to start with the first verse. There's a lot here, a lot of layers. You have to pay attention. There's a lot of information in today's class. Okay, Mizmor LeDavid, Havu LaHashem b'nei Elim, Havu LaHashem kavod va'oz. So a song for David, prepare for Hashem. Okay, it also could mean give to Hashem. Prepare for Hashem, sons of the mighty, the Elim, and prepare for Hashem, his glory and might. Okay, let me see. I'm going to have someone else I'm going to need to remove. Somehow today, I'm very sorry, we have been bombed again. I don't know why this is happening. This has never happened twice. And hopefully we'll just keep everybody else coming in. Naomi, if you're still here, just don't let anyone else in unless you know them. Okay. So sons of the mighty, what does this refer to? The B'nai Elim. So this refers to the patriarchs, the Avos, Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. And it also refers to the stars, the ministering angels, okay? And when we speak about these B'nai Elim, these sons of the mighty, it also refers to the first blessing in Shemona Esrei, okay? So when you say that first blessing in the weekday and also the Shabbat, Shemona Esrei, you know that this is the reference from it, and this first blessing speaks about the might of the Avos, the might in the Shemona Esrei. And why Elim? So Elim also means rams. So what are rams? So rams are like Yitzchak. Yitzchak, who was submitting himself to the slaughter, which didn't happen. Okay. So the Avos, the patriarchs, are compared to those who are willing. Their might comes from the willingness to submit oneself with Mesirat Nefesh, with soul sacrifice to Hashem. Okay. So that's the first part of the first verse. The second part of the first verse speaks about Hashem's kavod va'oz, his kavod, his glory and honor and might. Okay, I'm removing people. Okay, my goodness, we really are having a problem today. Okay, these people I know I'm letting in. Okay, so sorry, we're really being Zoom bombed today. Okay, I used to have everybody register for the class, and then people complained it was too complicated to register. So this is what happens. Okay, so the second part of the first verse, glory and might, kavod va'oz, refers to the second blessing of the Amidah, which speaks about what? The resurrection of the dead. Why? Because that is Hashem's, excuse me, I'm removing someone else. I don't know what is going on today. That is Hashem's might, is the resurrection of the dead. And that represents the absolute strength and power of Hashem. God willing, we will all be able to experience that in the future. Okay, now the next verse. Havu la Hashem kavod shemo, hishtachavu la Hashem bahadras kodesh. Okay, so this verse represents the third blessing of the Amidah, which begins, "You are holy," and this speaks about Hashem's holiness. It ends with Kodesh. Okay, so this is where the third blessing of the Amidah, whether it directly comes from it or there's a correlation, Chazal is discussing this. Okay, now, excuse me, I have someone else I'm removing. Oh boy, this is really problematical today. Is Naomi here? No, Naomi, unfortunately. Okay, I see what happens. She kind of, sometimes her phone logs out. All right. So in this verse, the third verse also, we have here the voice of, no, we don't have the voice yet. We have here also the splendor of holiness, but Chazal say, read Bahadras Kodesh as instead Hardas Kodesh, which means the trembling from awe of Hashem's holiness. Okay, now we're going to go to the third verse. Kol Hashem al hamayim el hakavod, hirim Hashem al mayim rabim. Okay, so the voice of Hashem is upon the waters, and the glory of Hashem thunders, and Hashem is upon vast waters. Okay, so this is the first kol. If you remember in the beginning, I told you about the kolot. This is the first voice of Hashem, which hints to the first day of creation, when the spirit of Hashem hovered over the face of the waters. Okay, so now we're getting into the kolot. All right, so much going on in this psalm. It's so multi-layered. Okay, I have someone else to remove. Naomi, let me hold on one second. Naomi, we are being Zoom bombed constantly. Please don't let anyone in unless you know them personally. That person needs to be removed who was just let in. That's one of the people that's Zoom bombing us. Okay. All right. I'm just letting you know. Okay. Don't let anyone else in unless you know them personally. Apparently, people with an axe to grind. Okay. So anyway, this is the first voice of Hashem. It hints to the first day of creation, and it is also the song of the fish in Perek Shira. Okay. So those of you who know Perek Shira or say Perek Shira, you recognize this verse. Okay, we're going to continue with the next voice. Kol Hashem ba'koach, Kol Hashem b'hadar. Okay, the voice of Hashem is strength, and the voice of Hashem is in beauty or splendor. Okay, hadar. This represents the second day of creation, when Hashem separated between the upper and lower waters, beginning the rain cycle, referred to as Gevurot, because Geshamim, the rain. Please don't let that person in, Naomi. I don't think we should let anyone else in. Everybody is writing down, unfortunately, Arabic names and Zoom bombing us. Okay, so this represents the rain cycle, which is the might of the rain, and this also is the voice of strength. And Rashi tells us that this refers to Har Sinai. And that's another allusion overall in this psalm, is to Matan Torah, the giving of the Torah on Mount Sinai. And as we read through it, and we read about the thunder and we read about the might, we understand why. Okay. Next. Okay. Kol Hashem shover arazim vayishaber Hashem es arze halvanon. Okay. This is the fourth day of creation. It's the fourth verse. The voice of Hashem breaks the cedars. Hashem shatters the cedars of Lebanon, of Lebanon. Okay. And this also refers to Har Sinai, to the giving of the Torah, when the commandments came forth from Hashem's mouth. And it refers to the it also refers to the third day of creation, when the trees and the vegetation sprang up. Okay, next. Vayarkidem kamo egel, Livanon v'Sirion kamo vein re'emi. Okay, he makes them prance about like a calf. Okay, the mountains of Lebanon and Sirion like young re'emi. Okay, the calf refers to the cedar trees dancing. I guess we can picture them dancing in the wind, and the re'emim refers to the mountains. Okay, we're going to verse 7. Kol Hashem chotzev lahavot ish. Okay. This is the one, I'm sorry, refers to the fourth day of creation. It refers to Matan Torah, when the commandments came forth from Hashem's mouth in flames. It's not the other one, it's this one with the flames. And the letters themselves were in flames, and the flaming letters penetrated the first set of the luchot, the first set of the tablets, and they engraved themselves upon the stone. Okay, and also this represents the Geula, the Messianic era, when in the future Hashem will pour out his wrath in flames against all the people who are Zoom bombing us, hopefully with fiery lightning. What can I tell you? All right, let's see. We are going to the next verse. Kol Hashem Yachil Midbar, Yachil Hashem Midbar Kadesh. The voice of Hashem causes the desert to quake or to convulse, to shake, to tremor, and the voice causes the desert of Kadesh, the midbar, the wilderness of Kadesh, to quake. And Rashi says that these are like the convulsions and contractions of childbirth. It refers to the fifth day of creation, when the sea creatures and the birds came out. And also, obviously, it's also alluding to the Messianic era again, when what we're experiencing now, we call the Chevle Moshiach, the birth pangs of the Moshiach. Okay, so we understand that anytime there is a birth of something good, whether it's the sea creatures and the birds that we're speaking about on the fifth day of creation with the fifth voice of Hashem, or whether it is the Messianic era, or whether it's a child, there's going to be convulsions and quakes. Okay. All right. Next. Hold on one second. Kol Hashem Yecholel Ayalos V'Yechesof Ya'aros Uvheichalo Kulo Omer Kavod. Okay, the voice of Hashem frightens the deer. It strips bare the forest, while his heichal, while his Torah, his temple, will proclaim kavod. Okay, so we have here the next voice of Hashem, which is the voice that is proclaiming the fright throughout the land. And we will see that even before the Geula, the animals will tremble. And we will also see that this voice is the voice that will come when the Bet HaMikdash comes, okay? And this will proclaim Hashem's glory. All right, next, Yud, Hashem Lemabul Yashav, V'yeshev Hashem Melech Le'olam. Hashem at the flood, Yashav, sat. Really, it's implying he sat on a throne. V'yashev Hashem Melech Le'olam. Hashem sits as king forever. Okay, so Hashem sat on the throne, but Hashem is sitting on the throne as our king forever. What is the difference between those two parts of this verse? So one, really the part is part of it is the tense, but also is this idea of Hashem as king. We have to be here in order for Hashem to be king. Hashem is king over the world when we crown him king, as we will be doing this Rosh Hashanah. A king needs subjects in order to be a king. So we make Hashem king, so to speak. Without us, Hashem's kingship isn't the same kind of royalty and magnificence and majesty as it is with people who submit to his rulership, because animals are not people. Animals can't have bechira, free will, to choose Hashem as king. Hashem is automatically king over all of creation. We're the ones who choose. Okay, we're going to continue. Hashem oz la'amo yiten. Hashem yivarach es amo v'shalom. Hashem gives strength to his nation. Will give strength. It's in future tense. Will give strength to his nation. Hashem will bless his nation with peace. And this corresponds to the last bracha of the Amidah. We only have the first three that we have a direct correspondence with, and this last one, which responds to the blessing for when Moshiach comes, there will be peace. It alludes to Shabbat and the Geula, obviously. And Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai says, and he's commenting on this verse, great is peace because it includes all the blessings. Therefore, Hashem blesses his people with peace, peace upon your departure, peace upon your return, peace for every person. And it means ultimately shalom is wholeness, completion, perfection, and peace, the kingdom of David. And that includes Torah, everything to do with Torah. And so this song, despite our many interruptions, which really threw me for a loop, we really haven't had that happen in so long, and it distracted me from really being able to keep track of what I wanted to say. Hopefully you got the gist of the magnificence of this song. And what I have for you, I'm going to share it with you. If you hold on one moment, there's something called the Zemirot database, where people enter in different nigunim, different melodies for different Zemirot, for different songs, not just the Shabbat Zemirot, but others as well. And I put in the link there. And also you can Google Psalm 29. You can Google the Carlebach nigun for it. There may be 6 or 7 different melodies here. I found a Romanio nigun for it. There's so many beautiful nigunim for this song. And every shul, every synagogue sings this in a different way as we go to return the Torah and on Shabbat day before Mussaf, as well as I mentioned before on Friday nights. So that is the powerful Psalm 29 with our many, many upsetting interruptions. As we know from Rebbe Nachman, anytime you're trying to do something really, really holy, the Yetzer Hara is going to kick in. And boy, did it kick in today. I'll tell you, you didn't see the names that these people were typing in, but they were scary. Okay, so now what we do, I'm going to turn off the recording. Hold on one second.